Hey, listener, welcome to this episode. So I don't know about you, but Gina and I have been thinking a lot lately about our Airstream life.
Airstream Life is phenomenal.
Yes, Airstream life is so profound.
Airstream Life is surreal.
Yes,
That's a good one.
Airstream life is so shiny.
Here's what I think. I think our Airstream Life is like a kaleidoscope. It's
Oh.
ever changing from the landscapes to everyone around us.
dig
It's
that.
just wonderful.
I like it. I
dig
like it.
Yeah, it's a good vibe.
Yeah. So, listener, if you're picking up on what we're throwing down here, what do you think about your Airstream life? I mean, Airstream life is significant.
It is. Airstream Life is life-changing.
That's right. So, listener, welcome to this week's episode of
The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Gina. I'm going to try my best to do like an analogy about today's episode at the beginning, and I'm probably not going to do a good job of it, but I'm going to try.
We'll try it. I mean, it's bound to be interesting coming from you.
All right. So we have a podcast about the Airstream lifestyle, and
Correct.
and everybody we talk to, at bare minimum, I would say they're Airstream enthusiasts, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
and some people are passionate at a bigger level, and then some people are like really full on, just like ultra committed, like
I understand.
So everybody that we talk to is like super passionate Airstreamers. Well, so my analogy is about our guest today is, let's say our podcast was about like rockets,
Okay.
right?
Where are you going?
Well, if our podcast was about rockets,
Yeah.
then our guest today would be like a rocket scientist.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
See?
Yeah, I get that.
So-
and I think the listener will get that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are like beyond excited
Oh,
to
over the moon, since we're talking about rockets. We're over the moon excited.
Yes, we are, but we're excited. When we created our podcast, we had this gentleman on our list of folks to say, one day when our podcast gets like popular, we'll have him on as a guest.
Yes, that's exactly what we did.
And he's on way early. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You got to give our listener credit.
I know.
Yes.
I do. I'm nervous, but
Don't be
I'm
nervous.
excited. Listener,
Just get him on, babe.
I know. Today we have got Rich Luhr with us. He's a nationally known expert on Airstreaming. He's been doing it for well over 20 years. He has authored some books that probably almost all of us have seen. Like, we got one of his books in our owner's manual when we bought our Airstream.
Yes, we did. A lot of people have. Yeah.
The Newbie's Guide to Airstreaming was in our owner's manual.
Did you read it?
Absolutely.
I know you did. You
Yeah.
did. You even read the page numbers, I think.
All of it. And the nearly complete guide to Airstream Maintenance he's written. I mean,
I
he's...
like the nearly.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. He is the publisher of AirstreamLife Magazine. He and his wife own and manage and operate the airgear.store website
do.
and all the amazing mods and products you can get to...
So I would say he's pretty much an Airstream rocket scientist. How do you do that?
don't
An
know.
Airstream
It's
guru.
it
He's an
is-
Airstream guru.
That's probably a good,
I
better
like
way to put
that.
it.
Yes.
Rich, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Thanks, guys. I'm actually excited to be here. I didn't realize I showed up early, though.
Well, we've met briefly several years ago.
He doesn't remember.
He doesn't
that, I'm
remember.
sure.
He doesn't remember us, but we remember him.
You know what I can say about that? So, can I talk about that now,
Sure.
or am I going to jump the gun? So, we actually met you, Rich, at Alumapalooza 9. Was it 9?
I believe so.
I think it was. And you taught a tire changing, I guess,
Seminar.
seminar is what it was. Yeah. And you literally like went to an Airstream and changed a tire. And you showed us how to get the tires out from under and of the Airstream and everything. And I just have to say that it was probably about 6 months after that that we were in Livingston, Texas, and we get out of the truck and we hear psst.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, Chris." And he's like, "I got this. I've got this." And he made
Step by step.
He made me video him, and literally under 15 minutes with your guidance
Yes.
from that class, he changed that tire right there.
I think you guys just nailed it right there. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this gets into backstory, but the summary version of why I do all this stuff, why I got into all this, wrote the books, ran the events, run the magazine, started Air Gear. It's all because there was such a need in the community for people to get education and good solutions. And when I hear stories like that, it's so gratifying because, yes, I taught you how to change a tire and you were able to solve your problem yourself without calling for roadside assistance. I am so proud.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And not only did I change it, but I did it like well.
Yeah, like you look like the
it was-
expert. Like you knew what you were doing.
It was impressive.
All because of his guidance.
It was, yeah. I mean, all my tools were brand new and shiny and clean. I'd never used them before. And like, it was a pretty sunny day. I wasn't sitting on the side of an interstate at 70 miles an hour. I was in kind of a controlled environment. So it was like, but I mean, I still had to get the tire changed.
He did. He actually drew a crowd though, and they just stood and watched him. They couldn't believe it. It was great. I mean, because whenever it came time for him to get the tire off into the Airstream, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have a hard time doing that." Yeah. And he just went right after it. It was great.
I did it. I was proud of myself. And,
okay, I know I jumped the gun on that. I know.
It's okay.
But I was very excited about that.
Yeah. Well, we thousands and thousands of people, I'm sure, have gotten similar advice from you over the years, and all the different things you have put together to share with folks so that they could learn the best way, the proper way, the right way to Airstream in all facets is wonderful. And so we're glad to chat with you a little bit. And what we thought we would do is maybe let you have a little bit of reprieve from giving advice and talking tech or talking, mods or anything, for at least for a little bit. We might get into that, but what we thought we'd do first is try to see if you can remember way back to the beginning of like your Airstream entry point. What caused you to in your life say, I'm ready, or I want to get an Airstream, and then what's happened since then? Right,
like before the books, before the magazines, all of that, a long time before that.
Yeah, everybody's got to get one the first time. Yeah, the origin story, absolutely.
Yes. Well, actually, that's pretty easy. I remember it as clear as day because it was such a pivotal moment in my life. I have to blame my daughter. She was 3 years old. And we were tent campers up to that point. And if you've ever been tent camping with a 3-year-old, you know that is a difficult proposition. and I really missed camping. We kind of stopped doing it for a while. And I said, we got to get something that works with the family. So I looked at pop-up trailers thinking, well, it's kind of tent-like. I really like my tent. And we rented a pop-up trailer and took it to Maine and had a 5-day trip of just constant rain. And it was cold. The weather was terrible. And, the beds got wet and I got soaked taking the thing up and putting it down and blah, blah, blah. It was horrible. I came back from that experience disenchanted and I thought it's got to be a better way. And I thought, I'm not one of those RV people. I can't be one of those RV people. Those are the people who sit inside their Class A motorhome and you can see the TVs going 24 hours a day and they never come outside. I'm not going to be one of those people. And I looked and then I found out about vintage Airstreams. And I thought, that's something I can get behind. They were so cool and they were just perfect for our lifestyle. And I said, that's it. That's what I want. And I went out and I found one at the International Rally 2003 in Burlington, Vermont. A guy had one advertised on the bulletin board. I bought it sight unseen. He just had an ad on the bulletin board. It wasn't at the rally. Drove down to his house in Maryland a few weeks later and picked it up. And it was a 68 Caravel.
Oh, nice.
Loved that trailer. It needed a ton of work. Over the next 15 years, I pretty much replaced everything on the trailer. But it was a great trailer. It was a great starter. And that was my introduction to the Airstream world. And from that time on, there was just no looking back.
Yeah. And that vintage aspect of Airstream, was that something that, like, were you aware of Airstream in your earlier years of life and just decided vintage was what you wanted instead of new, or was like vintage was your first exposure to the brand even?
No, vintage was my first exposure to the brand. Yeah, I was not really aware of the new Airstreams. I had never been to an Airstream dealer. I'd never seen one on the lot. I'd never recognized one on the road. I hear from a lot of people that they say, oh, yeah, I grew up. I saw an Airstream on the highway when I was 8 years old, and I thought that's so cool. Or my parents had one, or my grandparents had one. None of the above apply to me. I just came out of nowhere, and I just said, well, this is cool. Look at this design. This is beautiful. I want that. And vintage was all I could afford at the time.
Yeah.
That was really the driving factor. Back in 2003, you could buy a 68 Caravelle, and it wasn't crazy money. I paid $5,500 for mine.
Yeah.
And now that was a good deal even then. It probably should have been more like $6,000 to $8,000 for that trailer. But the guy took pity on me, and he gave me a nice deal. And like I said, it needed some work. But so it was really just a combination of, I had a little kid and I didn't have a lot of money, and this is what fit the bill. It was not a pop-up.
Yeah.
So, but from there on in, then I of course, it began to get introduced to the entire Airstream world, first through the club and then just on my own. And it was actually, I bought that thing in August of 2003. We camped the hell out of it, and right up to October 15, when we were living in Vermont. That's when all the campgrounds close. And I had to winterize it. And so it was a real short season for us, but we had packed in numerous trips in that short time. And I was so in love with the thing. I just sat there looking out my window. It was in the driveway, and I could see it getting covered with snow and thinking, oh, just want to go camping again. I love that thing. I couldn't get enough of it. And I quit my job, and I decided to start an Airstream magazine.
Wow.
Yeah. I had, before the end of the year, I was unemployed and staring out my window and trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do next.
Wow.
And I came up with the idea for the magazine. And by the next April, I was selling subscriptions. And by June, the first issue came out.
And what year is this again?
That was 2004 when the first issue came out.
2004.
The international rally in Michigan. What was the town now? Oh gosh, Flint? No, not Flint. They had an international in Michigan. Now, right. Lansing. And that's when I distributed the first copies.
So we've had, you make the first guest that I'm aware of that has said part of their Airstream entry point was them quitting a job.
Yes, I agree. Well, I think the Airstream sitting out there was like bewitching him or mesmerizing him, something. There has to be a term for that, but I feel like it was just calling him, and he's like, I'm coming. Awesome. Yeah.
And oh no, Gina, you're 100% correct. Those two words apply perfectly. Bewitching, mesmerizing, calling. Yeah. Absolutely. I felt this incredible call, and I'm like, and the funny thing was, I thought, well, there's no money to be made in a magazine, but until I find a real job, I can do this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And here it is, 22 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
and
apparently I was never able to find a real job in all that time.
Yeah. And I don't know this history aspect of this question surrounding the magazine, but outside of the Blue Beret back then, was there any other Airstream publication like what you started?
No, there was nothing. And that was part of the reason. I mean, if there had been, I wouldn't have tried it. There wasn't room for three. But at the time, the club was very different back in 2003. And without getting into a lot of the details, let's just say that the Blue Beret wasn't really the publication that it is today. It was much less interesting, and it was black and white, and it was mostly club news. And I felt like there was a need for something that spoke to the Airstreamer like I was. And when people say, well, what is your magazine going to be about? I said, it's going to be about things that I think I would want to read about Airstreams. And that's the best answer I could give them. It's just, I'm going to write the magazine that I would want to subscribe to.
Right.
And that's been my guiding principle ever since. I've always just tweaked the magazine's editorial over the years to suit what I think an Airstreamer would want to read.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
of course, we're perfect, but we try.
well, no, that's the perspective you're coming from, though. I think when I think of the Blue Beret back then, I thought of it more of a kind of a newsletter, not really a magazine. And yes, it's turned more into a magazine now, but yes, I feel like your magazine came in and spoke to the actual Airstream owner, the person who's living in the Airstream, traveling in the Airstream, camping, whatever they might be doing, sitting in their home, looking out the window, being mesmerized.
Living their Airstream life.
Yes, living their Airstream life. And that's the perspective you came from. Yeah.
Exactly. No, you completely understand. That was it. I just felt like there was a need. And don't forget also, if you weren't in the club, there was nothing for you. And so I wanted to serve those people as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the club is important, and I'm a member of the club and I'm a supporter of the club and have been for 22 years. But, it has its limits. It's not for everybody. And there's a lot of people who just aren't club joiners for whatever reason. And I wanted to be able to speak to those people so that they would be part of the Airstream community as well.
Yeah.
No,
and
that makes sense.
And you think back around that time frame too, the social media aspect was not there. The Facebook groups were not there. I mean, it was.
Well, air forums existed back then. That was something, but that was pretty much it. So you basically had the club communications and you had air forums.
Yeah.
And that wasn't bad. But even before social media came out, there was a real problem with misinformation getting spread on the internet. And that was another minor motivation for me, that I really felt like there was a need for well-researched and accurate information whenever possible, instead of sort of campfire lore. And I heard this from a guy, and this is the way we've always done it. That just wasn't good enough for me, because I had run into so many problems as a new Airstreamer where I was led astray by terrible advice. I mean, even dangerous advice. I mean, for everything from, what to buy to how to use it, to where to go, to how to maintain your trailer. It was just so much bad information to sort through. I felt like that was an unfair thing for new owners, and I didn't want them to have to go through the painful learning curve that I did. So that was another big motivator.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But unfortunately now, that's still out there on the internet, and it might be even worse now.
It's easier to consume now than ever, and it still may not be right.
Right. And now, whenever you Google something,
agree.
it's either YouTubers or AI.
Yeah. And AI is just taking over. I've said, if you Google anything relating to Airstreaming or RVing, the first 3, 4, 5 pages of results are going to be entirely AI generated. You may not know it, but they are. They're all kinds of AIs. People are creating tons of content to fill out their website because they think that's good for SEO. They think that's good for their business. And they're just flooding the internet with AI generated content, most of which is really garbage. I mean, it's just terrible information. And the problem is the average person can't tell the difference. So I would say, more than ever, there's a need for curated information that people can rely on. But I honestly, I feel like we lose the battle because, print is being denigrated. Everybody's like, oh no, everything's online now. Why would you need print? Well, my answer would be, you need print because that's where people actually take the time to do the research, as opposed to a bunch of AI slop that is everywhere on the internet that you can't sort through.
Yeah. And the time to do the research was the comment I was going to make, is that a person that has your level of knowledge and experience, and others like you that put out that information in print or accurate, it takes a tremendous amount of time to curate that and prepare it for people to read and learn from. And I could only imagine the number of man hours that you have invested in these 20 plus years in doing that.
I don't even want to think about it. It's basically become it was a lifestyle years ago. Now it's at another level. I mean, I have just spent so much trouble, so much time, researching obsessively. I mean, hardly a day goes by in the week that I'm not working on some other issue, related to this. It's just what I do now. I don't know what else to do sometimes. But I like it. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's nice to be able to bring, good products and good information and, a nice magazine and a fun time, help people enjoy what they've got. And then I hear the nice stories like I heard from you guys about, hey, we were able to change our own tire. That stuff is so good to hear, that, yeah, maybe we are making some headway here. We are helping people get to the right place. So, I'm not inclined to stop at any point, even though it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's
well,
great.
You definitely put the what's the old cliche say? Live it and breathe it and eat it and everything. Like, that's your whole life. That's your Airstream life.
Yep.
Yep. So you definitely do that.
And we will be right back.
Hey Airstreamers, Kevin and Deborah here from No Locks, and we're here with an important public service announcement. Don't be a slammer. Your Airstream door should close easily, no slamming required. And if it doesn't, it's time for a little No Locks love. We offer professional door service across the country. Check our schedule at nolocks.shop to see where we'll be next. And if you prefer to DIY, our Striker Bolt, teamed with our premium lubricant, makes your door close smoother. We've also got pain pins for those sticky windows, our door kit to keep you from getting locked out, and our step brace to steady those bouncy steps. You'll find these and so many more Airstream parts and products at nolocks.shop. Your one-stop shop for smooth rolling down the road. No Locks, keeping your Airstream doors happy, smooth, and slam-free.
And listener, when you reach out to Kevin and Deborah with No Locks, be sure to let them know that the Riveted with Chris and Gina sent you.
And now back to the fun. Can you pinpoint any point in time, like in those first few years, or even when you're doing the magazine, that kind of stuff, where it's like, I'm immersed in this Airstream life now, and what was the one thing that you felt like, oh my gosh, I am hooked now?
Oh boy, I tell you what, I felt that early. We picked up the trailer in August of 2003. I think it was later that month or September. I can't remember now. We went to a balloon fiesta in Gatineau, Ottawa. I'm sorry. Not Ottawa, Ontario, Gatineau, Ontario, which is next to Ottawa. And it's a huge balloon fiesta, which I guess a lot of Americans don't know about, but I heard about it, and then that wasn't too far from Vermont. So I said, let's go to that thing. And we were camped out there with thousands of RVs, and they had the big stage and the balloons and everything like that. And right there, I'm like, oh, this is too awesome. Yeah, I was hooked literally within a month of buying that Airstream. It just, it spoke to me. Nice. I love the experience of being in it, and I still do.
Yeah, like you were in that cool event space. You had this amazing experience of the balloon fiesta going on, but you knew that you still had a comfortable travel trailer right there with you with all the comforts of home and everything you needed to be out there in that, but still not be wet and sleeping on the ground or tinning or anything like that.
It's a wonderful feeling. I remember boasting to friends about it. I said, look at this thing. I can park this in the middle of the desert somewhere, miles from anything, and I can take a hot shower. I can make a meal. I can sleep comfortably. Sure, I don't have air conditioning, but I've got everything else. It's just that concept of that independence really was magical. Yeah. And I think boondocking is still, it's definitely our preferred way to camp. We still love to get off the grid, and it just never gets old.
Same with us. Yep. I know that I would say our experience like that for the saying we got hooked was the first summer we traveled with ours, and we were in Jackson, Wyoming, Grand Teton area, and we were at an established national park campground, but there were no hookups. We had a site, but we had nothing, no power, no water, anything. And obviously that's a beautiful place, and but we were fully relying on our rig. The furnace was running in late August because it was cold at night and everything. And we were laying in bed, and Gina saw that the stars were like just blowing up, like just amazingly bright stars. And we got up, went outside, and boom, right there was the Milky Way. And, you know, it was like it
was so quiet and so peaceful. And
yeah, we had
just beautiful.
We got out of a nice, warm, comfortable, you know, Airstream, went outside, saw the Milky Way. We're right there with all the wildlife and everything, and enjoyed that experience. But then we're able to go back into a nice, comfortable Airstream and go back to bed. And that it's an independence. That's a good word for describing it, but it was just it got in us when we were able to do that.
It felt like a freedom is what it felt like.
Yeah, it did.
You know, you could have your home, but you could be free out on the land and in the world. It was just beautiful.
This is what Wally Byam was writing about 70 years ago. This phenomenon that you experienced, that I've experienced, I think most of us have, is just the most incredible thing. You know, to get away from it all and yet have the comforts of home with you, it puts everything into perspective for you. You know, especially when you disconnect from the internet, which people don't do enough, in my opinion. But when you disconnect and you're out there and you're looking at the stars and you're hearing the breeze and listening to the coyote or whatever, and just in that moment, you're really in the moment. You're not distracted by the troubles of the world. Suddenly, all this stuff you see on the news, all the things that are happening at work, all the stresses that you had in life, they all shrink to insignificance.
You're right.
In that moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you can take that with you when you leave, you know, it's really beneficial. It's good for the human psyche to be out in nature. And I think it's even better in these times when people feel very troubled and very stressed to get out there on a regular basis and put everything back into place in their minds, put it back into perspective. And we try to get out once a month, mostly for that reason.
Yeah. Just kind of like to recharge in a way.
I wish more people would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's great medicine for everybody.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't, it just puts it. Yeah, we get new ideas. We meet people. You know, we make friendships. We, explore the world, have fun. But mostly, we just kind of get our heads back to where they need to be. It just reestablishes everything. All our priorities start to fall into place, and problems get smaller. It's something that I wish everybody could do. I mean, everybody. Everybody in the world. I wish they could, all take that moment. Or everybody in an industrialized society who's feeling stressed out.
Yeah.
Just get out there and experience that.
Yeah. Have that experience and feel that, because it's like a vibration through your body. It's like a connection, or I think it feels like, to me, it was like a connection, and it kind of brought into perspective, what life is really about, and not what we've created with, work environments and everything, but what life is really about. And that just really brought us to, it brought us to tears almost.
A little bit.
It was so nice.
So hearing you say that, and my brain's going, and I just thought of a question that I'm going to ask him based on that. So you can feel that, I think, without it being an Airstream. Like, you could have a nice,
yes.
What we just described in a way could happen with some other brand of RV. But
it could just happen just going on a hike and not having an RV.
Yeah, could be.
Yes.
So Rich, I guess the question I want to ask about that, especially considering your many years of Airstreaming and all of the things you've done and immersed yourself in the brand so deeply, is that when does that cause somebody to become an Airstreamer? Like, what do you think it is about Airstream that causes somebody to say, I'm an Airstreamer because of those experiences, versus just somebody that has a travel trailer that enjoyed the Milky Way or enjoyed a balloon fiesta?
Like when they officially become an Airstreamer, is that what you're...
Yeah, like what is it about the brand that caused somebody to not just say, I'm enjoying these experiences as an RVer, but I'm an Airstreamer?
Well, of course, the experience isn't brand specific, or as Gina pointed out, you could be on a hike. You can have that experience in a lot of different ways. But the thing I find when I talk to people that cements their loyalty to the brand seems to be about the design of the Airstream. An Airstream is twice as expensive per linear foot than pretty much anything else on the market in travel trailers. You don't get a lot of storage. There's, the corners are rounded, so they have to be, clever with the cabinets and things like that. There's a lot of compromises that come with that streamlined shape and that aluminum body. And yet we don't care, because the design of the Airstream is incredibly attractive. I find a lot of people who were pilots are drawn to Airstreams. Well, that's no surprise. I find a lot of people who were tenters are drawn to Airstreams. And, but mostly I find people who like, I could have bought any RV, but I wanted this because it looks so good. And I know that seems trite. It's just like, well, it's just how it looks.
Yeah.
But it's not trite. It's really significant to people. Speaking for myself, I enjoy that experience of looking at the Milky Way, whether I'm in a tent or on a hike or in a white box or in an Airstream. I'm going to enjoy it just as much. But the Airstream adds an element to it that nothing else does, because when I'm done looking at those stars, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to love the hell out of that interior. It feels so cozy and comfortable and warm. It's where I want to be. It's like, imagine it's a snowy day and you're a kid and you're out there and you're having a snowball fight with your friends and making a snowman. At the end of it, you want to come back home and it's warm and it's well lit and there's a fire going and somebody's got hot chocolate for you. That's how the Airstream feels to me. It's my happy place.
Yeah.
And I think it is for a lot of people. So it just enhances the experience.
I can feel the smile on your face whenever you're talking about it.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you are very happy.
And I know what he's saying when he's describing, fireplace, hot chocolate, warm. I mean, those are all like feel good sensations that you get, and it's in your own way when you step inside your Airstream.
They use that term a lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but they use that term a lot about how do you feel? What does it feel like? Feel. They use that word a lot. And you just said it, Chris, right there, is that it in the way he was describing it and how it made him feel whenever he went back there. You just said it too. Yeah. And it's true. It's if you don't feel good about something, you're not going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of our main goals of our podcast when we decided to start it was to talk to people about how your life has changed in a positive way by purchasing an Airstream, by adding an Airstream to your life. What has made it
right?
How's it made it better? And all the experiences and the epic, amazing things you do because you've got an Airstream in tow. And, everybody's story is different, but they all in some form or fashion center around what we're talking about right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's got something to do everything you just said I 100% agree with, but it's got something to do with just, I think, the length of time that this brand's been around and the changes and the ups and the downs and the everything that it's gone through, the history, the unique aspect of how it was road tested on, international caravans and things like that. It's got something connected to it that I think causes people to be okay with, like you said earlier, there's a few compromises you have to make based on certain design elements, but you're okay with making them. And some of those compromises are perfectly fine because of all the other cool and amazing things that comes along with it. So, yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to spend a little time, or we wanted to spend a little time talking with you about those kind of things because I know you spend so much time and effort doing a lot of technical talk and advice talk and how-tos and things like that. So,
well, I have a question about that.
It's good to hear, just some perspective about your love of Airstream.
Absolutely. So whenever you purchased your vintage Airstream, did it come with a book?
And a how-to book?
Did it come with a how to be an Airstreamer? How, what you need to know as a beginning Airstreamer?
Written by Wally Bynum.
I would almost bet to say that it did not. Yeah. And you decided to remedy that situation.
Yeah.
Because literally people are handed your book whenever they buy an Airstream. That's huge. That awesome. Is huge. Yeah. So there has to be, like this really big responsibility you feel from that. So, when you wrote it, like, what were you hoping that new owners, would feel or, get from it whenever they opened it?
Well, there was still a really powerful need for new Airstream owners to basically get a quick start guide. Here, you bought this thing, now what? And there really was an enormous gap there. The dealers weren't filling it. Airstream was relying on the dealers to fill it, so Airstream wasn't doing much about that either. And I just said, somebody needs to write a quick start guide just to give you the basics, just so you know what the terminology is. The front from the back. You know which valve to pull when you want the sewage to come out, and so on. Just the stuff that they sort of take for granted. Like the dealer hands you the trailer, they maybe hitch it up for you. They're like, okay, have a nice day. That's it. You're on your own.
No, we know.
So. Yeah, that experience is, it's repeated over and over, hundreds of thousands of times a year. And I just felt like, well, we can do better. And I hadn't written the book yet. I started drafting it, and I happened to go to the RVIA show in Louisville, Kentucky, and I ran into Bob Wheeler, who was the president of Airstream and still is. And this was many years ago. And I said, Bob, I'm going to write a newbie's guide to Airstreaming. And I was just about to go into my pitch. And Bob looked at me and said, okay, we'll buy it.
And wow.
I was just stunned. I was stunned.
Whoa.
First of all, I thought it was going to be, I was going to have to pitch him pretty hard. But the second thing was I was so flattered by his faith in me. Bob and I had known each other for years. The magazine had been going on for several years at that point. So I had a reputation with him, but still, that was like the biggest compliment he could have paid me. And of course, at that point, now I'm thinking, well, I better do a good job now.
No pressure.
Get to work.
Now I got to finish this thing. And I did it. And they immediately started buying copies to put in every single new Airstream that was sold, which was, as Gina has pointed out, an enormous sense of responsibility for me. And so I started updating the book. I ended up doing 4 editions of that book.
Oh, wow.
I think it has been put in the hands of somewhere north of 25,000 Airstreamers.
Wow.
That's awesome.
We're one of those.
We are. We sure are.
Unfortunately, it is no longer distributed.
Really?
Stopped buying it. Yeah, about 2 years ago, they just very abruptly stopped including it in the new owner package. And so that was that.
Well, that's too bad.
So
that's sad.
During that process of getting it out, the first edition, and they said they wanted it, and you're finishing it up, and that they're going to start putting it in the owner's packs. Did you have free reign of the content, or did they want to keep a tight leash on what you were going to put in there?
Yes. Well, this was in the days when Airstream was a much smaller company, and we had a great rapport between me and all the senior team and so on. And that's not to say we don't now, but it was a different situation back then. And it was easy to get things like this through without any particular bureaucracy in the way. And I really have to give Airstream a ton of credit. They never meddled, not once. They never even asked to see a draft. They never made a suggestion as to what should go in it. They just trusted me. And that's what they've always done with AirstreamLife as well. 22 years, I think at once, maybe twice in 22 years, somebody new to the team has written to me and said, well, we'd like to review that article before publication. But they, for the most part, they have kept their hands off the editorial. They never tell me what to print. They never tell me what not to print. It's a relationship of immense trust. And again, there's this huge feeling of responsibility. I don't want to ever hurt Airstream. I mean, I'm a huge believer in the brand. They're a huge partner. We've been partners for 22 years. It's really important to me that they're happy with the product that I create, but they leave me alone. Yeah. And that's the only way it can work. If they were looking over my shoulder, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that should say a lot for not only your obvious credentials as a Airstream rocket scientist, guru, but just Airstream's, realization that they've got somebody that can help their new owners by providing that, and they let it happen. So that's great.
So if they're not putting them in there anymore, then maybe we could auction our book off for like millions.
A limited edition, like
yeah,
is it
like yeah,
maybe a signed copy be worth a lot of money?
I think let's try and see what happens.
I don't want to burst your bubble here.
Oh no, but you're going to, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, it's just when they stopped doing it, it was sort of abrupt, and I hadn't gotten any advance notice, and I still had a couple thousand copies.
Oh.
And I said, hey guys, can you give me some time? And they did. And so they bought some more copies, but I still ended up being left with 1,200 copies. We are just now down to like the last 37 copies.
Okay, listener, do you hear this? 37 copies, and they're going fast.
Yeah. So they're
going fast.
Yeah, they'll be gone in a few weeks. And that's the end of it. I'm not going to do a 5th edition of the Newbie's Guide. Without Airstream support, it doesn't make sense. So that book is going to go out of print. But it had a great run. I thank Airstream from the bottom of my heart for buying all those books from me and putting it in the hands of people. It's one of my proudest accomplishments, and I really do appreciate that they did that for me.
That's great.
That is awesome. But, I wouldn't hang your hat up on that yet, because after what you said, it's been about 2 years now. Just give it another year, and they'll probably be knocking on your door and going, "Look, we made a mistake. We need this book now."
There's more.
Our phone's ringing off the hook, and Rich, we need you to come in here and get this book back in.
There's still newbies that need help.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish that's one of the fantasies that flips through my mind from time to time. That one, and the lottery fantasy and various other things. But the reality is that it's a different time now. And the people, inside Airstream and most other corporations they're thinking all about online. They're thinking print is dead. Print is not dead. It's a mistake to think that print is dead. It has a place, a very important place, but not everybody agrees with that. And it's a losing battle to try to sell a book to a company at this time of day. I don't think that they'll ever come back and say, "Oh, we need that book back." I'd love it to happen.
Yeah,
I'd be glad to see it happen, but I just don't. I don't wait by the phone for things like that to happen. I'm looking forward to much different and bigger things going forward. You just got to keep adapting. You can't rest on your laurels. The book had a good run. I think it printed. Gosh, we probably ran that book for 15 years.
Wow.
But everything comes to an end, and I'm not looking back.
Well, and you shouldn't, because when one door closes, another one opens, right?
That's right. Yeah. So while we're talking about Airstream corporate and just all that stuff right now, we thought we wanted to bring up and ask your thoughts on what do you think of some of the latest collaborations that Airstream's been doing the past few years. Even as starting with, say, like, Pottery Barn, but definitely Frank Lloyd Wright, the Stetson, maybe even some of the unique things they're doing, like with Camp Airstream and some of the experience-related things. Like, what do you think about their new moves?
Well, I think it's great. I think that it's smart for the marketing folks at Airstream to be thinking about things like Camp Airstream. They're trying to put a bigger shine on the crown, and that makes perfect sense to me. Whether those things have legs over the long run, I have no idea. But I think they're smart to be exploring these things. They need to, you can never rest on your laurels, as I just said. And for a long time, decades ago, Airstream was just coasting on the Wally Byam mystique from decades before, and that eventually, just wasn't going to carry them anymore. And they kind of went into a renaissance, and they've been trying to, for 2 decades now, I've watched them as they've become more sophisticated as a modern brand instead of a retro brand, and they've been successful at that. I think that the collaborations, by the way, are nothing new. I've been watching Airstream do collaborations for quite a long time. I can't remember when the first one I saw. I think back around 2006 is probably the first one I remember, and that was the Quicksilver edition. They did the Pendleton National Parks trailer, the Design Within Reach trailer. There's been so many brand collaborations that they've done. And even in the 90s, there was a sort of a co-branded trailer. Believe it or not, there was a Norman Rockwell 34-foot edition.
Yeah.
with a giant Norman Rockwell painting on the side of it. That was back in their grandma days when the interiors and the exteriors
Oh, yes.
spoke to a different generation.
Yes, they did.
But the collaborations have gone on for a long time, and they've been, a lot of them have been highly successful. And I see no reason for Airstream to stop doing it. They build brand cachet, especially with these limited editions like the Frank Lloyd Wright, which is, it's a beautiful thing. And they're only going to do 100 of them.
I think 100 or 200. I can't remember.
Yeah, limited number for sure.
Yeah, that is so smart. I mean, it creates this desirability. Even if you don't buy a Frank Lloyd Wright edition, by buying an Airstream, you're part of that.
Right.
They know that. It just can't help but build the brand. So I think those are great. I think the Stetson one, I have not had a chance to see it up close, so I can't comment on it as a trailer, but it looks like a smart move and a great collaboration.
A lot of the collaborations they've done in the past 10 years or so, the Stetson has definitely been one of the most out there, I think. And out there, not necessarily in a bad way, but just almost like I felt like it showed that Airstream is willing to really put themselves out there from a design standpoint.
They're stepping out of the box.
There's definitely that. I mean, when you see, when they align with somebody like Pottery Barn, it's more of a branding affiliation. Pottery Barn puts some look and feel on it. But when they do something like the Stetson or the Frank Lloyd Wright, they're really going out on a limb design-wise, and yet I think there's no downside for them in doing these things. You'll hear experienced Airstream owners, longtime Airstream owners, looking at them and kind of sneering a little bit, going, well, that's not really a good travel trailer. Well, my dogs are going to mess up that upholstery. Oh, that's not functional. The cabinetry is not big enough. I don't like those latches. There's always something that somebody's going to moan about, but that is irrelevant. When they do a limited edition Frank Lloyd Wright trailer, it's not about, oh, everyone should have this. This is the best trailer in the world. That's not what they're trying to say at all. They're trying to say, look how design forward we are, and yet design backward, looking back at the classic mid-century stuff. They're putting it out there as a limited edition because it is a halo for the Airstream, which is in itself a halo brand for all the other Thor RVs. It's not about making the greatest travel trailer when they do this. It's about making something that makes a statement.
Yep.
And that's where I see, Frank Lloyd Wright and Stetson, and before that Pottery Barn, and some of the, the many others that they've done. They've all been about making statements, especially Design Within Reach. That trailer was it was out there. It was polarizing, but it was popular, and it did what it was supposed to do. It made Airstream look great.
I think it's fabulous that they bring out the limited editions like this. I really do like to see the different ways that the Airstream brand itself can change. The outside still looks basically the same, but the inside is where everything's changing.
And you think they are built in a factory. They build them. They've got certain tried and true models, trim levels, cosmetics, aesthetics, and they obviously, I'm sure, want to have some consistency to what they build so that they can build volume like any manufacturer would. But to take and build something that is so uniquely designed on the inside, even though their outside shell is pretty consistent, I think it's gutsy and confident of them to say, I don't care how long it takes. We're going to build something that's unique and different and quality and stylish, and put it out there for people to see that we're not just a cookie cutter builder.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's great.
Just think about this. Can you imagine some white box brand trying to do something like this, something design forward like this? Something ambitious? No way. It's just. Yeah, there's not going to be a Lance that has a Frank Lloyd Wright interior, or even a Pottery Barn interior, or anything. That is something Airstream is cornered. They are the design brand.
Yeah,
they are, and the buyers know that, and that's why so many of us are drawn to it, because is something appealing about the fact that they are, you've got that classic exterior, but the interior can be anything.
Right.
Anything you want. And that's also drives the imagination and makes the brand even more exciting, whereas you can put a really nice interior in a white box, but boy, it's at the end of the day, it's still a white box.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing wrong with white boxes, but Airstream has really, really outdone themselves, I think, with some of these recent collaborations that they've had.
They have.
They're just gorgeous. But
we've yet to ask, what kind of Airstream do you have currently?
Currently, we have a 2020 Airstream Globetrotter 23 FB.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
Now, we have to ask this because we ask all of our guests on here, do you have queen or twins?
That's a good question. We have the twins, and we love them. Especially in the 23 FB, when you get the twins, you get a lot more storage space. You get 3 exterior storage compartments, which you don't get that many on the queen. And you get a nice bedside table that both of you can share. I think it's a much more functional trailer. And I never thought I'd have a twin, but we are not looking back. We love it.
Yeah, we went into somebody's 23. It was an international back in the fall, and it had twins, and it felt like a 27-foot trailer inside.
Yeah, it felt really long.
It was huge. Yeah.
That's something that we noticed when you go into a 23, which is a pretty short trailer, and you stand in the kitchen. If there's a queen bed, it's a east-west queen bed. It's going sideways.
Right.
And visually, it blocks your view into the bedroom, and it makes the bedroom seem small. But when they put the twins in there, they're on either side of the trailer. They're running north-south. And so you have a long hallway that goes all the way to the front of the trailer. The trailer seems bigger as a result.
Yeah, that's good.
I could see that. Whenever you said the twin beds, it made me think of asking you, whenever you first started, we started this conversation and we asked you how you got started, and you blamed it on your 3-year-old daughter. And when you said twins, I was thinking, well, where does your daughter sleep? But she's a grown woman now. Yeah. So how does she feel about you blaming her into getting started in Airstream and changing your whole life?
She had to have had an awesome childhood growing up around Airstream.
She had an awesome childhood. My daughter is 25 now.
Yeah.
She has had a unique experience as a child. When she was 3, we bought the Airstream. When she was 4, I started the magazine. When she was 5, we went out full time for 3 years. So age 5 through 8, she was living on the road, and she took to it beautifully. And she made friends all over the country, some of whom are still friends today. She still stays in touch with some of them.
That's awesome.
And she went back every summer and spent 2 or 3 months in Vermont with her grandparents. And she was homeschooled naturally because of our lifestyle. And she took that really well, so that when we finished traveling and when she was 8 and settled into a regular house, she wanted to continue homeschooling. She did that all the way through high school. And then she went to the University of Arizona, where she's had no problem at all because she just is a grounded person. That Airstream experience gave her a comfort level with all things, all people, all accents, all foods, all climates, locations. It doesn't matter. These full-timing kids, if you catch them at the right time, they're not goldfish in a bowl. They're swimming in the ocean. They're experiencing everything. And as a result, at least all the ones I met, they became fearless and successful. And I've known a number of them now who are in their 20s. And all of them are just amazing people as adults. So I think it was highly beneficial to her. And awesome. She would be thrilled that I blame it on her.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, I totally agree with what you're saying about these children who travel full-time and who are homeschooled doing so, because we're full-time, and so as we're traveling and we meet these families on the road and we pay attention to the children, of course, and how they act and how they correspond with the adults or the landscape or the national parks or wherever they might be. They treat people and the land with respect, and they seem to be kind of calmer and grounded and appreciative of everything that's around them. Whereas we've seen, and this was one instance where one car load of people had gotten out at this national park we were at, and the kids were jumping the fences and they were running up through the trees and they were just acting all crazy. And the parents were just standing there looking out at the scene, and they're like, okay, let's go. And then there was another group there that was very grounded, and they were talking about the leaves, and they were, talking about the landscape and what happened. And we knew they were homeschooled. We could tell. And we had a little conversation about that afterwards. And Chris and I were just so amazed at the difference in the perspective of the children. It was just
night and day difference.
It was totally different.
And I think the way you just described your daughter growing through, adolescence, and then how she is now as a young adult, and the fact that you contributed that Airstream experience of growing up to some of those positive traits, that's wonderful, and just a shining example of how adding an Airstream to your life in 2003 changed it for the better.
For the better.
Not even, all the rest of your accomplishments and things you've added to the Airstream community and everything you've done, but just that one component of purchasing an Airstream and letting your daughter become immersed in it as well. It's a wonderful statement to how an Airstream changed your life.
But you didn't just stop right there at that magazine, did you, Rich?
No, that's a character flaw. I don't stop.
Well, that's good. I mean, the talking about adapting and how shopping online and that sort of thing. Everybody having a wonderful place to go, like your Air Gear website, for all the cool gadgets and upgrades and modifications and gear is a wonderful asset to the Airstream community.
Thank you. Thank you. That is what we strive for.
Yeah.
So there's one thing about the Air Gear store, which I think a lot of people don't know about it, or they don't know that I'm affiliated with it, but airgear.store is the site. And ostensibly we're an online retailer. We sell stuff. But that's really not our mission, and that's not how we view ourselves. We view ourselves primarily as a product development company, and our goal is to create solutions for Airstreamers and general RVers in many cases too. That is really what drives us. We love coming up with basically better mousetraps, a solution to the problem, even if you didn't know you had that problem, but just to improve your experience. And so product development is the backbone of what we do. We do sell some off-the-shelf products for sure. When we find something and it's good, we'll recommend it. But what really just drives me is coming up with a fix for a problem that nobody else thought of. That is the ultimate high right there, to come up with that. So product development is really what I spend most of my time doing these days, much more time than the magazine, as a matter of fact. And I'm very proud of some of the products that we've created, which we all brand as Air Gear products. And I've got a bunch more coming out this year, which are going to be pretty cool. And that's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
Right now. That's the future as far as we see it.
I bet so. And I was going to ask you, you kind of beat me to the punch about the new stuff coming out this year. Can you give a little sneak peek as to what that is, or is it all top secret still?
It was top secret, and there's still one top secret project I can't talk about, but I do expect that all of the new products will be announced before this summer, and two of them we will show at the International Rally in Minot, North Dakota this August.
Very good.
The one that I can talk about right now is something I'm calling the Airlock, AIRLOQ. And this is the first time I've talked publicly about it. So you guys are breaking the news.
Breaking news.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah. Anyway, no. So, on what year is your Airstream?
2018.
Okay. So you've got the chrome entry door handle, and right below it, there's a round black deadbolt, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And you have two keys, and it's a nuisance. So I looked for a keyless entry solution for an Airstream, and guess what? There isn't one. Nobody makes one. So I made one.
Oh.
Wow. That's awesome.
It replaces the deadbolt, and I love it. I've only got a prototype of it now. I can't show you a picture yet, but we will be releasing it probably in April or May of this year. And the airlock replaces the deadbolt. It's a screw-on thing, and you now have a digital door lock. And it fits pretty much every aluminum trailer made from mid-2008 through 2024, 2025, depending on what model you have. So a lot of people can use it.
That is awesome.
I've been testing a prototype on our trailer for a couple of months now. My wife got her first hands on it last weekend in Lake Havasu. We were at a rally, and she hadn't had a chance to really use it. And after she'd used it a few times, she said, "Oh my God, I love this thing. I had no idea how much I was going to fall in love with this. This is so cool. I can leave my keys behind because I can never find my keys anyway." So she just goes up the Airstream and punches a 4-digit code, and the door opens.
That's awesome.
Well, I was getting ready to ask you that. Is that what you do? You just punch the numbers, or?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not an app. Is it app based too? It's not an app. So I like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna leave your phone in the trailer, and then you won't have the ability.
Well, I have too many apps as it is, so I like that.
Yeah,
or not having an app.
That's exciting news. Thanks for sharing it on our podcast.
Yes,
and we always like when we can get some of those little tidbits of exciting things like that. So that's great. And you're exactly right. I mean, it's there is nothing like that out there for an Airstream, and I've heard other people ask about it. I know. I mean, it's numerous times. Yeah. So. That's great.
Well, when we showed it at this rally in Lake Havasu last weekend, we had a small unit rally, and there was like 35 trailers there. And I didn't say anything. I was on my trailer, and if somebody walked by, they would point at my trailer and go, "What's that?" And I'd say, "Well, it's a digital door lock that we're prototyping, and I'm going to have it on the market next year." And without going any further, the husband and wife usually, they would look at each other and they would say, "When can we get one?"
Yes.
That was it. That was the pitch. So I know it's going to be a big hit. Everybody wants it. It's so needed.
Yeah.
And so that's a really exciting one. The other thing that I'm really excited about is that we've made a foray into portable power stations, which is another thing that, if you want to talk about the evolution of Airstreaming, I think this is going to be a major factor. So are you guys familiar with these at all?
Well, we are to a certain extent. From a few years back, we had a group camping event out in Quartzsite over the holidays, and some friends of ours rolled in with a brand new Blue Eddy system, and they didn't know how to use it, and they let it run dead, and they thought their solar panels were going to charge it back up, and they weren't hooked up right, and so, it was just. That was our first exposure to it, to at least something like that.
Right.
So we're familiar, but we know that just in a short period of time, this was the Christmas season of 2022 going into 2023. So I can only imagine how much the technology has improved just in that short period of time.
Well, the key is that Blue Eddy system was made for household use. And if it had a large battery in it, it might have weighed 80, 100 pounds, 120 pounds maybe, depending on how big it was. And so one of the problems with that is that it's very hard to get a 100-pound block in and out of your truck bed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a smaller one, it just doesn't have the oomph to really run much for very long. Not in an RV setting. Those things are made for, recharging your cell phones and stuff like that, little dinky ones. So we found this company called Sorin, which had not yet come to the United States. They've been selling all over the world for some years now. And we arranged a partnership with Sorin. The difference is the Sorin power station is modular. So you start with a relatively lightweight main unit, and you can use that right out of the box. But if you need more capacity, you can buy an extra battery, and you literally just stack them together. There's no cables. You put one of them down, you put the other one on top of it, they instantly interface.
Wow.
And now you have a bigger power station. And you can keep doing that. You can add up to 3 of these huge batteries and get a really massive system that in its ultimate incarnation will run your air conditioner for about 5 hours.
Wow.
But most people don't need one that big. So you can size it to what you need, and it grows with you as you decide you want more power. It basically is a generator, but without the fumes, the noise, the gas, the carbon monoxide.
Wonderful.
All that stuff. Yes.
And then
Yes.
is solar charged?
It can be. If you have a solar panel, you can plug it into the back. There's an XT60 port in the back of it, which is a real common type of plug. And you don't need a charge controller, just any solar panel of any brand, at least 100 watts or more. Plug it into the back and it will charge the unit, and it'll charge while you're using it. So you don't have to have a choice of, am I charging or am I using it? You can do both. So we plug it into 400 watts of solar panels, and it charges beautifully as we're using it. So we basically never run out of power. And what it means is, see, here's the thing about a power station, because it has an inverter into it. It's a giant battery bank with a giant inverter. You plug the Airstream into that. Now your Airstream is as if you were at a campground.
Right.
It's exactly the same. Everything works. You don't have to turn on the inverter in the Airstream. All the outlets are powered. You can use the microwave. You can do anything that you want to do. You can even run the air conditioner, although it will use up the battery pretty quickly. And there's virtually no compromise. Suddenly you can boondock, but you can act as if you are at a campground.
It simplifies that whole process of having to do, big major infrastructure builds of batteries, cabling, inverters, all that stuff, and that makes a lot of sense
for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That's a big thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We hear from people all the time who say, I went to the dealer and I said I wanted some extra batteries. And they said, well, you want a 3,000 watt inverter, and we need to put in some heavy cables, and we've got to do some rewiring of this and moving some, custom of the furniture and this and that and this and that. And by the time they're done, the person walks out with a bill between $10,000 and $15,000.
Yeah.
We can do the same thing with a portable power station for about 1/3 the cost.
Wow.
And there's no labor involved. So the problem is, when you go to a custom upfitter, dealer, or RV, solar electric specialist, whatever, and you buy that custom system, most of your money is going to labor.
Sure.
It's not going to
I'm
batteries.
sure. Yeah.
So you don't really get a lot of return on your investment. So instead of spending $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 on a custom thing, you can spend $1,700, $2,500, $3,500 and get the exact same functionality in a portable system that you don't have to bring with you every single time.
Right.
And so you don't have all that weight added to your trailer, and everything is just easier.
Well, one thing's for sure, Airstreamers love, or maybe, no, I think they love it. They have an obsession with gear. So I think that they're going to love seeing these new products on the market.
Oh, sure. And anything that can help to eliminate the need for a generator is, I think, is awesome in my opinion.
Yes.
So that's great. That's wonderful. That's an example of new trends, I guess, or at least new things that are available on the market that you specialize with at Air Gear, and people, it's tried and true, knowledge that is behind you bringing a product like that to Airstreamers. So job well done on that. That's exciting. I can't wait to see one.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, they're available in our store right now. We just introduced them. We did a pre-introduction back in December, and we had just 15 units, and those just disappeared instantly. We've gotten more of them in stock as of mid-January, and they have been very popular.
Very cool.
And right now we're the only retailer in the United States and North America, in fact, that has the Soren power station. So we're really ramping up on that. We think portable power is the future, and we're kind of on a mission, unofficially, to end generators.
Yeah.
Most people don't need a generator. They think they need a generator for battery recharging, but it's actually a terrible way to recharge batteries, and very inefficient and expensive, and just a pain in the neck. Power stations are really the better choice for most people.
Yep.
And so we're trying to get that message out there. It's like, you really don't need a generator. That's not that was what you needed 20 years ago, but things are different now.
Yeah.
They
So
are different.
you need an awesome little catch line like lead is dead. You know what Battleborn did several years ago when they pushed hard with lithium was lead is dead. You need something like that for a generator.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we'll come up with something.
You'll
good.
have to work on that,
Yeah.
babe. One thing's for sure, Rich, you have unknowingly, I think, you dedicated many, many years of your life to helping Airstreamers in their journey of buying an Airstream and creating their own Airstream life. And Chris and I personally have experienced better Airstreaming because of some of the things we have learned from you.
Absolutely.
And so from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much for that and taking the time with us today and sharing with us and our listeners a little bit about your personal life, but also what you've got coming up.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys. I'm very flattered by that praise, and I'm glad that I was able to help you. And we're going to keep doing it. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's just I love doing things like this. So invite me back sometime.
Yes,
absolutely.
We will. Maybe we'll have you come back and we can get like super geeky on some technical fun stuff.
I would like that.
Yeah, and dive deep into mods and accessories and all that kind of stuff.
I would like that. Our listener would like that too.
Oh yeah, they would. And we've had people request that too, and no better person than you to participate in that conversation. So we look forward to having you back, and also look forward to seeing you in Minot. We'll see you there in August.
Yeah.
Okay, look for me. We're going to have an Air Gear booth, and we're going to be showing our 2 new products there. So
awesome.
I'd love to catch up with you guys. Yeah.
That'd be wonderful.
Great.
Maybe we can chat then.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rich.
We will
Thank you.
See you down the road soon. Awesome conversation today, Gina. Boy, I'm so thrilled that we had him on as a guest.
He's such a super nice guy and great conversationalist.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. Everybody knows him. He always puts so much good quality content out for the how-tos and tech tips and just.
But this was a little different today, Chris.
Well, that's what was great is he just kind of heard a little bit about his backstory and just his personal aspects of being an Airstreamer and his Airstream life.
Right. And I enjoy that. I enjoy getting up close and personal with people.
That's great.
That's why we do this.
Listener, hope you enjoyed it. This episode went a little long, so thanks for hanging in there with us. Be sure to check out Rich's website, airgear.store. Check out all the amazing things he's got on there. AirstreamLife Magazine, and be sure to hang in there with us on all of our socials. Send us a message. Send us some questions. We'll be happy to read them and talk about them on a future episode.
Yeah, we got some stuff already in the works with that.
Absolutely.
We sure do.
We do.
We'll be there soon.
Be where soon?
Talking to them about their questions. You caught me off guard there for a second.
I thought we were going somewhere.
No, I just meant like you and I are going to have an episode of us talking, and we're gonna share with them the questions that we've received, and it's just going to be fun.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed it, listener. We'll see you on the next episode. See you down the road.
We'll see you down the road.
We've come a long way, and I only say goodbye because, we never say goodbye on a caravan, but we'll be seeing you down the road.